The scorching heat of the Nazca Desert wrapped around me like a blanket of fire. The contrast between this cracked, dry ground and the freezing extremes of Antarctica was almost surreal, but the connection between these two distant places was undeniable. The message buried deep within the glacier had led me here, to one of the most mysterious locations on Earth. Nazca was an enigma. From the ground, it was nothing more than rocks and dust, but from above, it revealed an astonishing secret. Massive figures drawn with inexplicable precision, stretching across nearly 500 square kilometers. Who created them and why? I knew these lines hid a code, and to uncover the mystery I had to dig deeper. I wasn't alone in this investigation. I had met Javier Morales, a Peruvian archaeologist who had dedicated his life to studying the Nazca Lines. His sun-worn face and tired eyes reflected the frustration of a man who had spent years searching for answers without success. Most people believe these lines are just religious rituals or markings to honor the gods, he said as we walked across the burning sand. But what if they are something much greater? What if they are a map? A map to what? I asked. He hesitated. To something we were never meant to find. Morales led me away from the main area, to a place hidden beneath layers of sand. There, embedded in the ground, was a marking unlike the others. A line that ended abruptly at a black stone lodged deep in the earth. Its material didn't match anything from the region. We found this years ago, but we've never been able to move it. To this day, no study has been able to identify its origin. I ran my hand over the stone surface. Cold, even under the scorching sun. There were carvings, but they were worn by time. I grabbed a brush and began to clear away the layers of dust. And then I saw it. The same symbols I had found in Antarctica. A chill ran down my spine. I had suspected Nazca was hiding something, but this confirmed my greatest fear. This civilization didn't just know about the cycle of destruction. They had tried to warn us about it. Morales and I quickly assembled a team to excavate around the stone. After hours of digging, we heard a hollow sound beneath us. A subterranean structure. My heart raced. Carefully, we moved the stone, revealing an entrance. The air that escaped was dense, ancient, untouched for thousands of years. Flashlights in hand, we descended. The tunnel led to a vast underground chamber carved into solid rock. Drawings and inscriptions covered every inch of the walls. But what caught my attention was at the center of the room. An altar, and resting upon it, a scroll. The scroll was remarkably well preserved, sealed inside a stone box for protection. We carefully opened it. The text was in an unknown language, but some symbols matched those from Antarctica. Morales, visibly shaken, looked at me. If this is what I think it is, we've just found something that could change everything. What does it say? I asked, feeling the weight of the moment. He took a deep breath and translated what he could. Those who watch the stars see the future. The cycle repeats. Chaos returns every 720 years. The sign is in the sky. The next great event will come, and the world will not be ready. I was speechless. 720 years. It explained so much. If the cycle was real, then every major collapse in history should have happened at specific intervals. My mind raced to connect the dots. The records were correct. Every great civilization flourished, expanded, and then collapsed within roughly 720-year cycles. I thought of the greatest disasters in human history, pandemics, world wars, religious conflicts, the Black Death, all under 720 years apart. The real question was, how much time was left? I searched the chamber for answers. Nazca's underground ruins didn't just record the cycle of destruction. They had accurately predicted historical events. Then, I saw something on the wall that made my blood run cold. They knew, I whispered. They knew that the year 627 marked the beginning of a collapse. They knew 1347 would start another. Morales went pale, which means if the cycle truly repeats every 720 years. I swallowed hard. The next collapse, the one that could mark the end of civilization, should occur by 2067. The scroll trembled in my hands. The predictions it contained weren't just records of a distant past, they were warnings. Every 720 years, something happened. Great empires collapsed, pandemics wiped out civilizations, and the world plunged into irreversible crises. If the calculations were correct, the next great event was set to occur between 2040 and 2060, and the signs were already in front of our eyes. What did the ancient people of Nazca know? How were they able to predict such precise cycles? More importantly, could this fate be prevented, or were we doomed to repeat history? With the help of Javier Morales, we continued translating the rest of the scroll. Among the engraved symbols, we found what appeared to be an astronomical diagram. Morales adjusted his glasses, pointing to a specific alignment. "These dates aren't random," he explained. "They coincide with rare astronomical patterns. Something is repeating, and the ancient people of Nazca recorded it with astonishing precision." The alignment seemed to indicate that the position of the planets influenced events on Earth. Was it just coincidence? Or was there a real connection between celestial changes and human collapses? Then it hit me. Each collapse event was synchronized with peaks in solar activity and shifts in Earth's magnetic field. "That would explain so much," I murmured. "Wars, pandemics, global crises, even natural disasters. If the ancients knew these events were tied to a cosmic pattern, maybe they tried to warn us. If this cycle truly dictated the rise and fall of civilizations, then our generation was standing on the edge of the next event. And the evidence was everywhere. Climate disasters were intensifying. Pandemics had recently brought the world to a halt. Global political tensions were at a breaking point. Everything was following the same script as history. Morales slowly closed the scroll and took a deep breath. They tried to warn us, but no one listened. And now, we're about to repeat everything all over again. It was hard to ignore the truth. But one question haunted me. If they knew about the cycle, what did they do to survive? We returned to the underground chamber, searching for more clues. On the walls, we found another series of inscriptions, a desperate attempt to leave instructions for future generations. There were mentions of a group that had escaped the destruction, seeking refuge in strategic locations around the world. Among the markings, one phrase stood out: "Those who know the cycle do not try to stop it. They prepare." The past civilizations hadn't tried to fight against collapse. They had accepted its inevitability and adapted to survive the dark age that followed. That was the key. Humanity needs to understand that some events cannot be prevented, but we can prepare to endure them. Evidence suggested that small groups, possibly descendants of these survivors, might still exist in remote regions. Their knowledge could be the last piece of the puzzle. Nazca wasn't teaching us a curse, but a fundamental truth of history. Every civilization is born, expands, and eventually collapses. The mistake of modern humanity wasn't just ignoring the cycle, it was believing the cycle didn't exist. If the next great event was inevitable, then the real question wasn't, how do we stop it? It was, how do we survive what's coming? As we left the desert, one last thought haunted me. What if someone else already knew? What if, somewhere in the world, a silent group was already preparing for the inevitable? Perhaps the true keepers of knowledge never disappeared.